Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful broadcast for Debruary 2022. I hope you've been enjoying all the wonderful series of guests that we've been displaying for you. Tonight's guest is Davina Ware. She is a career coach and the founder of Upwardly Paved Path Career Coaching. And in her original pitch, she reached out. She says, I think I got some really good content for viewers, and she wanted to share her story of how she had her own struggles with her career, just going from one dead end job to another, until she thought about it and realized that the problem wasn't the jobs. It was, she says, my poor perception of myself and my diminished self worth. And after doing some inner work and healing, I was able to find my career on purpose. And as you know, we've been getting a lot of questions lately in the advice column. It's supposed to be a dating and relationship advice column, but a lot of young women have been writing in to ask questions about, career issues and, what should I do? I'm getting out of school. I'm having these problems at work. And, I have some expertise in that area, but, to know how to find what it is that's going to make you happy in your career, what is it that you want to do and how to do it well, I'm going to pass that baton to Davina. So let's get her on here and join me in welcoming Davina Ware to Debruary 2022. Hey, girl.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Oh, look at you, and your lips match your jacket. I'm so jealous. I'm
Thank you.
jealous. So it's good to see you. So let's start. I wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you want to add about your background or training and things that you think would be important to this discussion?
Yes. One is whenever I'm helping people in the space of career coaching, whatever I say means that I have been through the trenches already. So it's my goal to be a shortcut for you, for one.
Excellent.
And then two, I have a marketing background. So I'm always looking at things from a branding perspective. And I know we'll get into more of that later, but that's a part of what we need to get to the place where we want to be at. So marketing is not just about products and the stuff that we pick up off the shelves. It's about us. We are walking billboards for ourselves, whether we are trying to be or not, we already are. So it's important to take control of that so that you can be aligned in your purpose, in your work, so that you can live a blissful life. I believe in bliss. I think too
Well,
many of us have
let's start by talking about that though. Let's
yeah.
before we go too far into this,
I got
what
excited.
define your purpose. Yeah, let's define what is purpose. What does that mean?
I break it down in these simple terms of why are you here? Why are you here? Why do you exist right now in this age with your background, with your family members, with those idiosyncrasies and quirks and strengths and talents about you? Why do you have that? It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. I know a lot of us think that, and that was something I myself had to overcome, thinking that, oh, I'm so odd and weird. I need to be fitting in. I'm trying to plug in, but we're all supposed to stand out. So your purpose is really what brings all of those things together that I just mentioned. Where you came
Okay.
from, what you do well, what naturally lights you up. So if you were going to do something for free, right? We know, that folks need to get paid. But if you were going to do something for free, what is that thing? Like I could do this literally all day. It energizes me. Those are all of the elements that tell us what our purpose is,
I
or at least the
see. Okay.
direction in finding it.
So is there, so did you like kind of sit down and just make a list of all of those things, all right, to kind of focus your thoughts? Because I'm thinking a lot of people are going to say, well, I don't know what I'm good at, and I don't know. I mean, I like some things, but I can't see that being anything I want to do for the rest of my life. I just kind of like it. But, I'm just trying to get you to give them some tips on, okay, this is how you
Yes.
start. How do you start?
So I think there's a disconnect. I think we're like set on a path and we kind of have an idea and we just walk in that path without taking that inventory. We have to do that. You have to stop and say, okay, what am I good at? What do I like doing for prolonged periods of time? What have other people that I know, like, and trust have said, wow, you're really good at that.
Ah, that's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah. But sit down and take some inventory. Turn Netflix off. Turn, get off Instagram and spend some time with yourself. Your future deserves to know.
So, what do you think? What's been the biggest problem that you've seen consistently with women, and is that different from men on finding their purpose?
I think so. Just because women now we have more options than we had in the past. And so we want to be power women, right? I am woman, hear me roar kind of thing. But with that comes this sense of what I call toiling. Of like, I got to get it done. I've got to do all these things. So there is an ambition there, which is out of flow, where we run ourselves into the ground and we think that's what makes us, or what, what's the term now? Like boss chick and all that. I'm like, look,
Whatever.
look. You be the best in your lane and what you're called to do, but you can't be pressing on the gas all day, every day. If we put it in simple terms, if I got in my car, it was just like, all right, I'm gonna put this sucker on the freeway and floor it. At some point, I'm going to run out of gas, right? So there's fueling stations on purpose. And women, I feel like, are some of us, well, we know, let's be real, there is a pay disparity in corporate America in the US. So a lot of us feel the pressure to work harder, to be smarter, just so that we can kind of catch up to where our male counterparts are. So it's
Right.
causing this sense of, I think, invisible pressure, right, that we put on ourselves. So it almost doesn't leave room for us to stop anywhere.
And I think a lot of women too get to. There's a real problem with them feeling like they can't outshine other people, like do better than their boyfriend or husband, for example.
Ooh, honey, yes.
And that is a problem. I keep seeing that a lot. And I'm glad you acknowledged that. What is there? Do you have any tips on what a woman can do to kind of turn that thinking around? Because that I think is extremely limiting to the point where trying to do this inventory that you just described, they won't even be able to openly do that because they'll be comparing. Well, I'm good at this, but he's not that good at that. And if I say I'm good at that, then it's going to make a problem in my relationship.
Now let me get into some deep stuff now. Uh, my
No, let's
thoughts
talk
on that.
quickly because I've been trying to pass this baton to somebody, and here you are.
Yes, please. I could talk about this literally all day because it's attached to my purpose. But um I think, one, I ask people, like, is this the truth? First of all, I think we project our own insecurities to create a little box of comfort that we can stay within, and we'll say, oh well, I'm gonna rise higher than him. One, is the gentleman saying that to you, does he even care? In a lot of cases I found, they're like, oh my gosh, girl, do you? Like, I want to be there to support you shining. Second thing is, even if you do surpass your significant other in some way, why is that a problem for you? Is there some way where you feel like he's not providing for you in such way? Or do you look at him as less than? Let's keep it real. Some women look at men like, I need him to be at a certain place over me. Okay,
Right.
well, why is that? And why is he no longer good enough if you become the best that you can be? And the third thing I would say is that the best thing for you? Or is this what you attracted right now because your sense of comfort and worthiness is at a level, and you've attracted another person at that level? So now you're like, oh, but I like him. He's a good guy. He's not doing anything wrong. But you realize that expanding might break this relationship up. Well, if that's the case, it just needs to happen.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
Right, right.
It reminds me, Davina, I'm going to share this story with you. Okay, my uncle married this woman. And I mean, she was a nice lady and everything. And I remember I don't know, probably about 16 or so, where you just start trying to date and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And she, I was dating this guy and he was getting on my nerves. I'm like, ew, I don't really want to be bothered with him. And my aunt says, but he's such a nice guy, And I said, well, he'll be nice for somebody else. And this is what she says to me. Don't wait. Don't get rid of your ship until your boat rather until your yacht comes in. Don't get rid of your boat until your yacht comes in. Now at
Mm,
16, I looked at her and I said, "But Auntie, the yacht can't get to the port because the boat's in the way."
I was about to say that.
And she looked at me and she used to tell everybody that story. It's like she's still wet behind the ears and she could outthinking me. But that was her thing. She was the kind of one to hold on to security in what she knew.
Mm.
And I was like, bye. So we had a very different thing. But I'm wondering if maybe it's some of that. Some of the women are afraid to lose the relationship.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard. It's icky. It's uncomfortable. It's unpretty. Nobody wants to go through it. But if you want to walk in alignment in your purpose and the very best that you have to be, nowhere and no one said that this process was going to be comfortable. Like comfort and comfort zone is a clear sign that you are off track. Not that like life will forever be on fire, right? But there's a shaping that happens. When we think about diamonds, right? They don't just pick diamond out of the ground and be like, "Ha, this looks really nice." No,
No.
right? There's that pressure that comes with it for it to be shaped into what it is. Or even pearls, as I've learned recently, that for them to be these beautiful things that we get, from clams, the reason why that even happens is because there's an irritant that somehow enters the clam, and the kind of solution that they use to like irrigate the irritant is what becomes the pearl. So this beautiful, very expensive stone that we wear came from an irritant.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I know. I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna tell that story everywhere. But yeah, that's just how things go. You have to get uncomfortable. And I think that's the real issue. People don't want to get uncomfortable because there's also the unknown on the other
Correct.
side.
Yeah, they're
Who wants
happy where
that?
they are with the known, and even if it's not what they really want, it's comfortable, it's familiar.
Right.
I see. Oh, that's
Mhm.
not good.
Right.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So if you say you're doing something and you're okay with it, I mean it's not hurting or anything, how do you know that you're not doing what you need to be doing on your purpose?
One of the biggest things is, and I had this experience. I've had a lot of interesting jobs. Like I said, we mentioned I'm in the career coaching space, leadership development, marketing. But at one point, I was a academic advisor.
Oh,
And I love doing it because I love the people aspect and talking to people. But after a while of doing it, I'm like, well, I'm a conduit for people to achieve their dreams through education, but I'm not achieving my own. So I was hungry. It's like being satiated. It's like, I don't know, eating little bits of fruit all day for your meal. It's like, yeah, this fruit, it fits. It's fine, but I'm hungry and I'm not being satisfied. I'm a foodie too. But I'm not being satiated. You want something crunchy, creamy. You want to feel like that was a good meal. But me being in that position as an academic advisor, I was basically eating strawberries all day. It was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm not gonna croak, but I'm not like I'm. You're not excited. For me, one thing, time is a non-renewable resource, right? And I'm one of those
I
people
say
like
that
I
all the
hate to
time.
feel like, right, I that I'm wasting time. So I would like my time to count. So I'd like to be happy most of it. I'd like to be excited, like, okay, I got to get up today, but there's some things I got to do. And I'm really excited to get plugged in and to stick my fingers in there and whatever that is. Like, that's a whole nother level of life, to experience life in a perpetual state of excitement. Not every day is going to be the same. Not every day is going to be um, the same level of excitement. But if we're just kind of like this all day, it's a missed opportunity for you to see what all life has for you. And it's also a missed opportunity for the people who are waiting for your gift, waiting for your skill, waiting for that thing. There's people that are waiting for you to solve their problem, and they might not get it solved because you didn't get uncomfortable.
So basically, in order to step forward like this, it requires some courage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And even
Sounds like
one
courage and a
little
willingness
toe.
to
Yeah.
fail. You have to have a willingness, I think, to fail and not even achieve as high as you wanted to. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They're very terrified of doing things wrong or
Hmm.
not failing.
Yep.
How can you address that mindset?
Um, aspirin was a mistake if I can remember properly. Aspirin was, I think, it had molded, or it wasn't supposed to be what it is today. It was an accident. It could have been considered a failure, but it saves thousands of lives, especially people who, suffer with heart disease. My grandmother, who is recently deceased, I remember maybe about 8 years ago, she felt funny, and she took an aspirin and then called the ambulance. That come to find out she had a heart attack. So this
Ooh.
mistake, hundreds of years later, prolonged someone's life. I think our education system does a little bit of injustice to us because it kind of programs us to be like, I got to get an A every time. Everything
Hmm.
I do has to be A plus, because the B students, the C students, the D students, they're looked at differently. They're treated differently, right? And even the corporate space can be like that. But there are a lot of things that happened that were happy accidents, and you've got to get out there without the expectation that I'm going to do this perfectly. I can't even imagine what life would look like if what I set out to do, I had done it perfectly. First of all, that's going to shut off your learning. You're not going to hear anybody, whether it's a mentor, teaching, uh, or someone else who's farther along in this area than you. You got to be like, I got that. I'm a student. I'm going to do this perfectly. That's going to shut down an opportunity for you to grow. There will be no growth. There will be no learning because you got this in the bag. There's no room now. And that's unfortunate. There would be no doctors, right? If they're like, oh, I'm just going to read this book and I got it. It's perfect. I don't want no doctor that ain't never made a mistake and figured, oh, okay, let me go right or instead of left. No, I do not want the doctor like I have literally never ever failed. Because I might be your first one. No,
Exactly.
no.
Not only that, Davina, it seems like, when I notice people who have that kind of mentality, and they experience that kind of frustration or, failure or some kind of delay in achievement, or they don't seem to bounce back very well. They just kind
Oh,
of lay down and just get steamrolled.
that is so true. I'm so happy you brought that up because it's like it's the black or white syndrome. If it
Oh, is
doesn't
that what it's
happen,
called? Okay.
yes, yep, yep. Like it's if it doesn't happen, then life is over. And yeah, you get so beat down, or you become depressed, or what's that movie? Up in the Air, I think, where there was a woman who committed suicide because she was losing her job because her job had become everything. It was part of her perfect life that she had planned out. And when she lost it, she couldn't take it. It committed suicide. We
Oh
have
my.
to. You deserve the grace to fail. These are not conversations that people are having, but you deserve to fail. You deserve to have the room to stumble a bit. You deserve it. It's okay. And I mean, do it now while you're not on a public platform. Take this time, like that inventory I was saying, take some time
Mm-hmm.
to figure it out, to clean it up. Like that's a graduated process like that is going to be kinder to you than trying to do everything right and then being on a public platform. And there's so many things that are out of your control. So your perfectionist standards is really just in a small bubble, small window that only you can partially control. But then you get out there with the rest of life, and it's like, no, you can't actually control that. Um, it's
That's really unfortunate. And I
yeah.
think too, a lot of people they have that attitude and they project it onto their children. So then you have these
Mm,
kids with a lot of, you got sixth and seventh graders with anxiety and fear of failure, and they don't want to try anything because I'll do it wrong. And oh,
mm-mm, yeah. And then you have all these anxious kids without coping skills.
okay, here's another good question for you, Davina. What is the biggest obstacle to let's keep professionals from being fulfilled in their work or in life? Period. Actually.
Yeah. Um, they don't stop and assess the direction. We all need to stop and assess. I think so many of us are on autopilot, and we kind of have an idea because we took some classes in an area we just, or it was impressed upon us to do this thing, that subconsciously it affects us and we start to suffer. It's like that. What's that analogy, like, to about boiling a frog? I know it's graphic, but like,
I don't think I've heard
you
that
never
one.
heard of that? Something about, like, if you, I think I'm butchering this, but when I say it, you'll get it. Um, like, to boil a frog, right? Like, if a frog jumps into a pot of boiling water, it's gonna be like, "Ooh, that's hot," and jump out, right?
Right.
But if the water's not boiling, and then you slowly turn it up, the frog's gonna get used to this environment, but it's gonna die at some point because the heat will be too hot, and the frog doesn't even notice it.
Oh, I
So
see.
the biggest obstacle there is that we're on autopilot and we don't even notice that physically, we're breaking down. We might just say, oh, that's, you know, old age, or we're not able to be healthy and lose weight because of this. No, it's because you haven't stopped. The direction that you're going in may not work for you anymore. And it's okay for us to shift in the transition and to go in a different direction. Things or a job you may be in may be for a season, and it wasn't set up for you to be um, at the top of that ladder. Maybe that job was just to teach you something, to get that and to go somewhere else to where you're really going to thrive and grow. But if you don't stop and pay attention physically, mentally, spiritually, relationally, and take inventory of, like, this isn't actually where I want it to be, then you'll be like that frog and you'll burn out and get burned up and
Ooh.
boiled up without even noticing that is coming. How many people, younger folks, are we seeing that are perishing from heart attacks and things like that really young? They weren't paying attention to, you being like, oh, it's okay. There's something that could be fighting for your attention, but you're on autopilot and you don't see it.
I know every job I've left, what was my kind of clue is if I woke up in the morning and I didn't want to go to work.
Oh,
Not just, oh, I just want to, just play around and I'll look forward to going tomorrow. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where if I got fired or something, I would be happy. Or I
mm,
thought about, these people at that job. Oh my God, I hope so and so's not there today.
yeah.
That kind of stuff. You're tuning into that, the angst and rapid heartbeat. I
Yes.
just, bad dreams, sleeplessness. It's kind of
Yes.
coming out and you don't start paying attention to it. And then I would quit. Let's go somewhere
Hmm.
else.
You need something. You need something to say, okay, I've got to, I got to change shift, or I got to go now. But that's part of that inventory for in self-awareness to say, okay, this isn't jiving with me anymore. Or another example for me is, I'm not giving it 110%. I'm that person where I'm like, I'm going to think about this problem from all 30 ways so that whenever I hand it off or complete it, you can take it and run with it, and it's going to bring the whole team up. But if I'm doing the bare minimum and I don't care that I'm doing the bare minimum, that's a sign. It's not just a day like, I need a day. I, maybe need a mental health break day or
Right,
something. But
right.
when you perpetually show up like,
That face.
it's done, I guess. I've done enough for them to not fire me so I can keep getting this paycheck. It's not good for you. It's not good for the company. It's not good for anybody in the situation. But I hear you. Or when you wake up, your alarm goes off, you just stare out in the
Yeah,
space and just say, so I got to get up. I got to go to this place. Okay. And be there for lots of hours. Okay.
yeah. I don't want to do that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So
Mm-mm.
I've been there, so I understand. It's a this is just really interesting because I think a lot of women are just doing just what you just described. People are just going through their life on autopilot. Like I think I should graduate from high school, I should go to college, and then I'm going to have a major, and usually it's one that their parents, kind of chose
Mm-hmm.
for them. And
Mm-hmm.
then you graduate, and then you get a job, and then you get married, and then you have a baby, then you have another baby, and then that's as far as our plans go. And I think these kind of conversations where women are directed to look at themselves and say, what do you need to feel fulfilled and to be happy? What is it that you're here for? Why are you here? I
Yeah.
think this is a very, very important discussion. I'm glad you're here. So do you have any other things that you want to add about being
Yes.
on purpose?
Yes. Just that you deserve to take that time, right? It's like, um, I love that you laid out this like linear life plan that we have. But if you look at life and you look at nature, it's cyclical. It's not linear, right? Just like how they thought the earth was flat and we was gonna get to a point and fall off. That's not even true. Things go in cycles. And I think the more we kind of pay attention to literally the world that was created that we live in, that's cyclical. And if we can align ourselves with just how naturally things occur, that it will help us to get off of this plane of like, well, I can't do that. I can't stop. I can't get off the path, but please get off the path, right? I know I'm giving them not a lot of analogies, but I find that it's helpful. HGTV, right? Almost every show where they're fixing something, rehabbing, they have a blueprint, they have a plan, they have experts. Every single time on this show, they open a wall and something happened. There's mold, there's termites, the piping is old. They planned the best that they could, but it wasn't until they ripped open the house and ripped open the walls that they saw, oh, this needs some more attention than we thought. If that's happening on HGTV and every rehab show that they have ever, broadcasted, what makes you think that you're not going to have to open up some walls and be like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I need to deal with that. I need, like I mentioned, or like you mentioned in my bio, unworthiness. What you mean I want to be the CMO of a company and I'm sitting here shrinking back like, okay, well, I don't want anybody to be hurt by what I said. And oh, well, should I be up there? Like this is not in my conscious mind. This is in my subconscious mind. But when I sit and
Wow.
take a minute and do some digging and say, oh, I don't give my all sometimes because I don't think I'm worthy of this. Okay, then let's unpack that some more. Why not? Oh, well, I remember in school, I was teased or made fun of, and I never dealt with that. So I've been walking around with this unworthiness this whole time. So that's the other beautiful thing about unpacking your purpose journey is that you start to see stuff that has been tied around your ankles, these weights that have been tied around your ankles that you didn't even notice was there because you're on autopilot or you're
Right.
not dealing with it. Or we think, right, that working hard and pressing is going to somehow make us press past some things, but it won't. You had to do the work. And once you do the work, and I'm on the other side of all of this now, that's when things start to open up because your mind is opened up. you're more, you can see opportunities that maybe you couldn't see before because you were looking at the linear, you were looking
Right.
at the blueprint. But when you say, well, I'm open to this thing, or let me try this, and when you can kind of open up this box of optimism, real authentic optimism, not, I'm just gonna think happy thoughts all the time. That doesn't have any root, and we know that when things don't have root, it's not going to grow. It can't come up. It can't
Right.
do anything. But real authentic optimism, because you're like, you know what? I'm a pretty awesome person. I'm quirky, and some job is going to take my quirkiness and say, we need that over here.
Right.
But
This
that
is
comes when
perfect
you
for our
open
for our
up.
office.
Right. Yeah. And I'm in those positions now where I'm like, I'm quirky. And somebody said, girl, I need, bring your little strange self over here. I, but it came with one, I had to be okay with my
Oh
quirks
my
and my strangeness. I had to be okay with that first. And then other people can see it, and then you trip over opportunities at that point, and you have that your pick. So when I'm helping people transition and go through that process, I'm trying to get people to that place where they have authority over their career, where they're steering the ship, they're steering the boat, they're not in the back kind of swinging their feet like, I wonder what direction we're going in. And most people don't realize that that's what you're doing. You're like, okay, well, I'm showing up to work every day, I wonder what direction this is going to go in. When you get in the front of that thing and say, no, I know exactly what I'm going. I know exactly what season I'm in with this job. I know there's a peace that comes with that. There's a comfort that comes with that, that no matter how busy you might become, there you can get some rest. And
This is
isn't
good.
that what most of us are looking for? Like an opportunity to rest, not just physically, but to be like, I'm unburdened. I'm in the right place. I can just be present in this moment and have peace.
Unbothered. Unbothered is the phrase I keep hearing a lot. Oh, this is great, Davina. So let everybody know where they can find you, because I think a lot of the young women that come here could use someone like you in their life to kind of give them the courage to let go of all of those expectations that they have, to try something new that was going to be a risk maybe, but it'll be more fulfilling in the end. And I think, your energy, even what you call your quirkiness, I think
Yes.
I think that's just what a lot of them need. So let them know where to find you. How do we get in touch with you?
Yes. Well, you can find me on my website, and that's upwardlypavedpath.com. There's tons of great resources there, including a 90-day to quit checklist. Because if you're going to
Oh,
quit, do it right. Right? Do it with a sense of authority. Don't be surprised. Okay. Don't let it sneak up on you. And then don't do it emotionally. A lot of us be like, you know what? I'm out of here. And that you don't want to do that either. But and I felt
guilty.
guilty where I'm like, hey, watch the smoke from my heels as I exit out
Trying
of
to
this
tell you,
piece,
girl.
okay? Right. And on social media, same way at Upwardly Paved Path, and that's on Instagram and on Facebook. And I have a YouTube channel. You can find that on my website. There's a couple videos there. I've got videos on career related stuff, on personal stuff, including rest. Last year, about this time, I did a whole series on resting before we launch into that next thing. And I talk
Oh, that's
about
a good
spiritually
idea.
too. Let's get cleaned up in here. It all goes together. When you arrive at your promotion, you should come as a whole person. Your body doesn't show up, but mind, body, and spirit is going to the next level, because that's how you stay there, and that's how you ascend and continue to go upward and onward when your whole self is going up there. That's why we see so many leaders and CEOs and things like burnout, who,
Mm.
kind of blow all their money because physically they were able to meet the challenge, but mentally they didn't grow up to get there. Spiritually, they didn't address that to go there. So I believe all three of those are important to walk in your purpose and to continually get opportunities and go to the next level.
Unbelievable. Thank you. Round of applause.
Of course. This was so fun.
Oh, it was. I really enjoyed having you here, and I'll reach out to you once I edit the video and all of that, and get you the link so you can let people know to come and watch you. And then you'll be like me, you critique yourself and you sit there and go,
Oh,
"Oh, why did
I
I
have
do
to
that?"
listen to myself. I can't watch. Because I'm like, oh, I had that little piece of hair I didn't see. I'm like, look,
That's the fun
I
part
looked
about
cute when I
video.
showed up, but I'm not watching the video. Sometimes I will. And I'm like,
That's
oh,
okay because your
no, that's
relatives will
okay.
watch and they'll tell this girl, I saw you do such and such. I don't know why you did that.
We are,
That's
aren't we? Right, right.
you know how relatives are. So anyway,
Yes.
Davina, I'll talk to you real soon. I'll
Sounds
see you
good.
later. Bye bye.
Bye.